Hello, what's up? Welcome back to another video. So I've just finished Resident Evil Requiem and I wanted to talk about it, but I think it's very hard. Maybe should I do a spoiler-free one and then a spoiler one? I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know. I'll try and do spoiler-free. So a spoiler-free discussion, I think this game's fantastic. I'm just gonna be very vague. Um, Great characters, great setting, not filled with nostalgia, great action on Leon's side, great sort of. It's not a really scary game, but a creepy game on Grace's side. Um, a lot of surprises show up. A lot of things. I mean, I don't really want to say too much, but visiting Raccoon City again, although I thought that was kind of like a bit of a like, oh, well, now we're just copying the films. It was nice to walk around the police station again and see things and be like, oh, reminisce and everything like that. So I was really really impressed with the game, and I I'm very critical of Resident Evil games because I'm such a big fan of them, and I'm same with Star Wars, same with Marvel, same with DC. I'm the same with like Zelda and Deus Ex and all that sort of stuff. It's because I want them to be better. I actually think this game is the best Resident Evil game that has come out since the remakes. I think Resident Evil 9 is better than Resident Evil 8. I think Resident Evil 9 is better than Resident Evil 7. I think Resident Evil 9 is better than Resident Evil 6, but that's not hard. I think Resident Evil 9 is better than Resident Evil 5. And I think Resident Evil 9 for me is better than OG Resident Evil 4. But anyone who's watched the channel and knows my Resident Evil taste, I enjoyed Resident Evil 4, but I didn't think it was a great Resident Evil game. There wasn't a lot tying it to the main sort of thread of the story, the sort of main, you know, the main story of the characters. It was very loose. Like if you took Leon out of that game, it would just be some guy running around Spain shooting people in the face. Um, First game without zombies, first game where Umbrella's not in it, but the Resident Evil 4 remake made it more about the Resident Evil world and the lore and stuff. So I prefer the remake over the original. Although I enjoyed Resident Evil 4, the original. I'm not saying it's a bad game. It was a fantastic action game, but for me, it was just a bad Resident Evil game. Um, but I think this was great. I really enjoyed it. I think there's a few things that I would nitpick at, but I can't talk about them without talking about spoilers. But Leon's looking great. He's looking older. Looks very rugged. It's great to see Leon go from this like baby face from Resident Evil 2 remake and see him in like this really young face. And he's like, you can tell he's just a little baby, like a young lad. He's 21 in that game, I think, or 22. Then in Resident Evil 6, I think he's in his 30s. Um, and then Resident Evil 4, he's a little bit older. In this game, he's like 52, I think. So he's getting old. So I enjoyed the game. I think everyone should play it. I love how well the game's doing. It's almost like Resident Evil's just shown everybody that people still love and enjoy single player games. I don't understand all these executives that say single player games are dying out and it's all about live service and online. Fuck live service games. Fuck online games. Like they're all right for a fun little brief period, you know. But having annual Call of Duties coming out where they're just the shit now. Do you know what I mean? Um, Still have Marathon to play, the beta, although I played a few games and I was like, it's a bit confusing what's going on. Very strange game. But I think people should rush out and play Resident Evil Requiem. I think it's a definite Game of the Year contender, 100%. And I just really enjoyed it. And I think one of the things that I found strange was when I was seeing people reacting to some of the people that had reviewed the game saying you could finish the game in like under 2 hours or 2 hours, and people were like massively offended by that. And I feel like saying like, well, where have you been? Resident Evil games are notoriously short. Notoriously short. You can finish Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil 2. I think Resident Evil 2 you can finish in like just over 2 hours. Resident Evil 0 you can finish in like 3 hours. Resident Evil 1 you can finish in like under fucking 2 hours. Um I don't know about Resident Evil 4, but I know the remakes certainly. Resident Evil 2 remake, Resident Evil 3 remake, finished the game in less than 14,000 steps. Finished the game in under 4 hours. Finished the game. You know, they give you rewards for speedrunning the game. You get infinite ammo for finishing games and stuff like that. You know, it's a game that's designed to be played and replayed. You know, it's just that's just what Resident Evil is. So where people were getting shocked, I was like, well, fucking hell, like clearly these people aren't Resident Evil diehard fans because it's always been like that with Resident Evil games. Um, but yeah, I think it's a great. The remakes have been good. Really enjoyed the Resident Evil 2 remake. I really enjoyed Resident Evil 3 remake, although I think the amount of content that was missed out of the Resident Evil 3 remake is fucking criminal. Um, Resident Evil 4 remake, I really enjoyed that. Apparently, Resident Evil 5 is getting remade, which I don't necessarily think is. I mean, I think they should. Code Veronica's getting a remake, and that's like the hardest Resident Evil game I've ever played. It's fucking ridiculously hard, really hard. Easily the hardest Resident Evil game, easy. I would like to see Resident Evil 1 get the Resident Evil remake treatment. A lot of people don't want to see that, and I would like to see Resident Evil 0 get the like just remake them all apart from 6. You know, if you're gonna remake 6, remake the fucking thing from the ground up. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Yeah, really enjoyed it. That's all I can say. I can't say anything without like going deep into spoilers. But I had a lot of fun with this game, and I'm just starting my second playthrough, so it's definitely got its hooks in. So I'm very very impressed with it. So strongly recommend. If I had to mark out a 10, I would say for me a 10 out of 10 is a must play. I would say this is a 10 out of 10 game. It's a must play for me. If I was scoring it on a critical level, probably 9 out of 10. If I was scoring it as a Resident Evil diehard fan, I would probably score it as probably a 9 out of 10. You know, it's a fucking good game. Really good game. Really, really good game. Best game I've played this year. I know it's only like March, but really strong start to the year. Fantastic. Couldn't be happy with it. Brilliant.